Welcome to the Rested Garden Homestead. This video is all about growing summer crops in fabric pots, also in containers, and what size pot do you need to grow a specific summer vegetable like squash, zucchini, tomatoes, eggplant, etc. We'll go over that. So over here, these are 4-gallon fabric pots, a little bit more, 5-gallon basic container. That rounding up is about 16 to 20 liters. These are 10-gallon fabric pots, containers, that's about 40 liters, and this is a 20-gallon fabric pot, and that's about 80 liters. I sell all these fabric pots at my seed shop. I recommend the 4-gallon, 5-gallon size, the 10-gallon size, the 20-gallon size. You can go larger, but this is basic setup for growing in containers. Now, a couple things you need to know is you can grow any plant in any container. They're just not going to thrive if you put them in containers that are too small. Let me show you an example. These are 2 pepper plants. We're in the beginning of May. These were started on November 24th. I've kept them alive in here. They're nice and green, producing a pepper. But if they don't have the right root space, your plants are just going to stay small. This is a Solano tomato. This was started actually June 26th in seed cells, transplanted out here in March. And you can see the plant looks green. I can keep them alive. A couple of tomatoes, but it's never going to thrive or do anything wonderful because the pot size is wrong. And then these are peppers that I overwintered. They're starting to produce. They all need to get into larger containers. So we've got the 4-5s, the 10s, the 20s. Bigger plants need more room to grow. They're all going to start with tiny seeds. They're all going to be cute, but they're going to get massive. So let's start with the summer crops that you need larger containers to be successful and have a crop that's really going to give back to you. Now I have plenty of videos, if you want to subscribe to my channel, to show you how to fill them and set the containers up the right way. But today's really about matching the plant that you want to grow with the right size pot. So 20 gallons, this is pretty much the minimum, and I'm giving you minimums now. So in all my videos, 20-gallon minimum, 10-gallon minimum, 4 or 5-gallon minimum. It's just easier, I think, for people to understand. Your squash, your zucchini, your summer squash, your winter squash need a minimum of 20 gallons. One plant in here. At the height of the summer and the size and a massive plant, you may have to water this 2 times a day, maybe 3 times a day. You're going to really have to keep up on the feeding. So you want a lot of soil for the roots to grow into, a lot of soil to hold fertilizer, hold moisture, and all those kind of things. Now, cucumbers, standard vining cucumber, maybe 2, 1 or 2. Bush cucumbers that, don't vine maybe beyond, say, 5 feet or 6 feet, maybe 2 or 3, but they're going to need something this size. And again, this is 20 gallons, about 80 liters. Watermelon, cantaloupe, would be grown in here, a single plant. If they're bush variety, maybe 2. It all depends on the variety. But this is where you want to start. Now, in a container like this, you could put in, I don't know, 6 or 8 bush beans, 4 or 6 pole beans, great summer crops. You get the idea. When you're using something that, when you're growing something that's a bush variety, you can put more in. All right, coming over. Oh, one more thing too, tomato plants. For the indeterminate variety tomatoes, the ones that get 6, 8, 10 feet, they could, I've been saying you can grow them in 10 gallons. That is very possible, but minimum, now I recommend a 20 gallon. So the indeterminate tomato, a single plant in there will do really well. Peppers, you could, in theory, get up to 4 pepper plants in this. I've grown pepper plants in 2.5-gallon containers, a single plant. Peppers need less earth, but they need to have consistent moisture. They need to be fed the right way. But if you're going with this, I would say 2 or 3 peppers, unless you want to try and push it. When you come to the 10-gallon containers, and that's about 40 liters, actually it'd be, what, 37 liters, you can grow 1 or 2 pepper plants. 2 will grow in here perfectly well. Plenty of videos on that. You can grow a determinate type tomato plant in here, that's the one that will get to about 3 to 4 feet tall, set its flowers, set its fruit, and dies off. That's a smaller plant. Even when you come over to here and you say, hey, that's double, that's 20, could I put in 2 determinate tomato plants? Probably, but that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Also, I want to add in too, you could do 2 eggplant in here. You could do 1 eggplant in this container. You could kind of push it and try and do a bush variety cucumber in this, or bush variety melon in there. Again, as the plants get large and the summer heat increases, you're going to have to keep an eye on the watering. You know, 4 bush beans, maybe 6. I mean, it depends on the watering. And then again, really, 4 pole beans would probably do really well in here, and you would have no trouble. And again, we're talking about the warm weather crops, the summer crops, but you could put in a single collard green, a kale plant in here too, if you're growing those plants through the summer. The 4 or 5 gallon pots are perfect for a single pepper plant. It'd be kind of tough to grow a determinate variety in there. It'd be kind of tough to grow an eggplant in there. You could put in maybe 2 pole bean plants, 3 bush bean plants, but those are bigger plants. In these 4 gallon, 5 gallon sizes, you know, lots of herbs, cool weather crops, leafy greens, stuff like that. You know, you could put in a single kale plant, collard green plant, but the watering issue is going to be the problem. If you're growing anything in there come late June, July, August here in Maryland Zone 7, they're going to dry out really quickly. That being said, these are perfect for growing plants in and maybe sitting them in a kiddie pool. You fill the kiddie pool up with water about that much, you know, on those hot days. I like the fabric pots because they will wick the water up. And if you do that, you might be able to put an eggplant in there, a determinate variety tomato plant in there, grow some bigger plants in there, because the watering is no longer an issue. But keep in mind, 10 gallon pots, 20 gallon pots for the bigger plants. The other reason that I like, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, that I like the fabric pots is because the roots will actually grow out the bottom. So if you're growing in fabric pots, they're on mulch, they're on earth, your plants will also root through the bottom. They will be able to pull moisture out of there too. A little bit different than a container. I mean, there's small holes in there, but the fabric pots just seem to do better, in my opinion, for growing plants at all the different sizes. A couple more plants that you can put in here. So in these 10 gallon pots, I put in 3 potatoes about halfway down. You can grow potatoes in there. That's, you know, 3 potatoes. I tend to overcrowd them. So 2 or 3 in here. You could go with 3 or 5, maybe more, depending on how you want to grow your potatoes. But potatoes will do well in these larger bags. You could probably put 1 potato in the 5 gallon, 4 gallon bags. They will grow also. So those are the main summer crops. You know, if you have comments, if you want to leave a comment about a specific plant, what will be the best size container, I will answer that. I love answering all those questions. Let me show you some examples of plants growing in these pots through my garden now. Here's some more containers, and I'm just starting to plant up squash, zucchini, cucumbers, indeterminate tomatoes into these containers. So if you want to subscribe, I'll be showing you how to do all that. 10 gallon pots, 37 liters, 2 pepper plants. That works extremely well. Chives, thyme, oregano in there, 2 more pepper plants. These are 22 gallon containers, so, you know, just a little bit over 20 gallons. You could pack in tons of basil. I think that's maybe, I don't know, 6 plants in there. But I have a determinate variety tomato in there, sage in the back, chives in the front. These are great, 20 gallon size again, for pole beans, your indeterminate tomato, just to give you an idea of the amount of soil that they need. And then I do have these bigger whiskey barrels. They're probably getting close to 35 gallons, and that is an indeterminate tomato in there with a pepper plant. But the whole key is making sure you match the mature size of your plants with the right size container so your plants do really, really well. These are 100 gallon pots, which I sell at my seed shop also. These are potatoes coming up. You're going to see some dust on the plants. That's Captain Jack's dead bug dust spray. which I do recommend if you want to use an organic dust. So here are some 10-gallon pots. Let me get my shadow out of the way. That's lettuce growing in there. I'll be doing videos in the fall on the cool weather crops that can go in there. That's a pepper plant that died out from frost. Potatoes in the 10-gallon bags. And I find that the 10-gallon is a great kind of all-purpose bag. That's a purple coneflower plant growing in there. Another 10-gallon. Those are onions I'm growing. Some more flowers. And right in here, probably 8 to 10 peas are growing in the 10-gallon pots. There's the Captain Jack's Dead bug dust. I actually put in 2 collard green plants in there. They're growing well in the 10-gallon pots. That is parsley, rosemary. Tucked in there is a 5-gallon pot. That's all oregano. Now, I haven't gotten to planting up a lot of peppers in here yet, but they're going to be going into 10 gallons. I'm going to be doing a 20-gallon Indeterminate variety tomato plant if you want to subscribe and follow. But I wanted to do a video just kind of going over how to match your summer crops with the right size container. And the whole reason that you want a specific size pot is so your plants grow to full size, the root system can support the leaf growth, the fruit growth, and you have to imagine these plants full size, middle of July. If they dry out just one time through the container mix, it's going to damage your plant. So you really want to be thoughtful of how much you're going to have to water come those high heat times of the summer. Thanks so much for watching, and again, please leave a comment on the specific plant that you may want to grow in a certain size pot, and I will answer it for you. Thanks for watching, and again, please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.